Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play The Messenger. In the last part we started off the non-linear section of the game, and since we got our first music note, it's time for us to start our process after the second one. Normally, I would be putting this music note into place, but I'm not going to start doing that until after I believe I have 2, because I forgot to do it with 1. Now, our next destination requires us to get to the Searing Crags, and the simplest way to do that is to head through this portion of the Howling Grotto, which, by the way, I think the reason this might be my favorite song in the game is that both the 16 and 8-bit versions of this song are kick-ass. It sounds so good in the Genesis sound fonts. Now, the reason I'm coming to Howling Grotto is it allows us to most easily access Searing Crags, as while there's nothing directly connected to it, there are now 2 exits from this place, both leading to Quilshroom Marsh, and we're going to head on our way to the second one. Though I believe I do go after the new power seals first, because of course I'm going to want to get all those, aren't I? In terms of how I'm going to be handling the power seal collection moving forward, I'm generally going to try and grab ones that are on my way. But barring a few cases, there are some I'm going to go out of my way to get, because that means I'll never have to come back to an area. I say that remembering I don't think I get them all for this area right now. I think I do get all the ones in the Howling Grotto by the end of the part, I believe. But for right now, this is the only one directly in my path. As the final one in the Howling Grotto is so ridiculously out of the way, it's kind of weird. But we'll talk more about that when the time comes. Notable, when it comes to the non-linear section of the game, because you're venturing back and forth through so many areas, time shards become much less of a problem. In fact, it's very easy to afford everything by the end of the game, despite how expensive some of the later upgrades are. I'm talking 2,000 and 1,000 time shards each, respectively. With that said, there was a time period where after that, time shards were kind of useless. There's now sort of something we can do, and I will be showing that off when the time comes. But for right now, it's relatively easy to come by money. And here's the new exit from Howling Grotto for 16-bit. Where does this lead us? Well, to the exact same place it led us originally. Welcome back to Quilshroom Marsh, though this is a new section of level about midway through the main level. And even though obviously the change to 16 bits there, as for that exactly takes us out, it brings us out to here, which I don't remember where that was back in whatever part that was. Part 4, I think. Also, hi Death with the pear tree. Yeah, there's a little visual Easter egg for the Death storyline. Madame Misery, I believe that one was about. I like that they do have little Easter eggs like that don't really do anything, but it's nice that they're there because it is all implied to be on this one island in a previous cycle and all that. Either way, if you can't tell just based off those visuals, now from Howling Grotto we have a very quick access point to get to Searing Crags, so we don't need to go through Quilshroom Marsh's long level anymore. There's also another reason to come through this route immediately, or as soon as you can, rather. I'm doing it now just because the next music note I'm going for all kind of plays together into this whole thing. Additionally, there's also this. This is another portal to the Tower of Time HQ. So now we can come back to Searing Crags near the top of it anytime we want. As for where this takes us, there's a path to the right, but I'm not going to do anything there because I can't do anything there yet. This brings us to the final vertical shaft right before the boss fight, so this is also a shortcut to the Glacial Peak. They do a good job of getting you shorter pathways through each of the levels, but there's still a lot of back and forth through the linear sections. Either way, we have things to plant. Excuse me? What's up, little guy? Can I use a corner of your flower bed? I have a seed to plant. I don't see why not. Concerns, Carlos? Nixus is. Be our guest, little guy. Alright, thanks. Hey, little guy, see our flower bed? Once our thistle is fully grown, we'll add it to our stone and see how strong it makes us. You said it, Lucis. I called it Carlos. Alliteration. It's admittedly humorous. With that, now we can head back down to the bottom of that shaft and head up it in 16-bit. There's a couple reasons we want to do this. One, obviously, the Ninja Master said we had to wait centuries for that actual tea leaf to grow, so we can go grab that. Additionally, we should also probably see if we could grab their thistle for them if it's not grown by this point. And there's a power seal along this pathway. And, well, that's rather important. This is one of my least favorite power seals to get in the game, though, just because it requires pretty precise cloud stepping. While the game's trained you to do that all the same, that's kind of a spike in precision. With that, now we can head to the top of the vertical corridor. That's not the word I'm looking for. Shaft. Shaft is the word I'm looking for. Haha, penis joke. I do find it weird when the level design just adds completely new gaps in the way. Also, now I'm going to buy the power sensor to show how many power seals are in each area on the world map. I brought this up last part. Press the B button, and now on the bottom right it shows you how many are where. You'd be surprised how helpful that is, and also, it's oddly strange seeing how few there are per area and just all adds up to the total. Oh dear. We got the power thistle. Time to prevent the two dumb brothers from waiting to death. We got the astral tea leaves. The ninja elders should know what to do with these. Yeah, we should probably help them, so let's turn back to 8-bit. And now let's head back up to them so we can make sure they don't wait themselves to death like idiots. Hey, it's the little guy again. What is up? I have your power thistle. Huh? Hey, he's not kidding, Kolos. So I see, Seuss. Never mind how you pulled this off, little guy. Throw it into the stew. Are you thinking what I'm thinking, Kolos? Oh, this is where it gets serious, Seuss. It's chugging time. Why are you drinking it with your feet like that? Oh, stop it. I'm satiated, Seuss. I'm content, Kolos. Shall we test how strong it made us, Seuss? It's all I crave, Kolos. Don't move, little guy. Ow! Well, now I need some sleep, Seuss. I reckon, Kolos. Thanks for everything, little guy. You're welcome. And with that, they have knocked us into an entirely new section of the Searing Crags. With that said, it's a very linear portion, and there's only the one thing to get here. In the case you accidentally leave this area, and the Searing Crags in general, by entering the Tower of Time HQ through the shop, you're not screwed out of this place, though, because you need it to beat the game. You just, I believe, need to head back to Kolos and Seuss's, and they'll just knock you right back here. I've never had to do it myself, because there's no reason to leave at this point, but yeah. I will say, out of all the music notes, this is probably like the simplest to get, which is why I'm doing it second. Because while there's a lot of back and forth through the end portion of the Searing Crags, it's relatively short to get all the same. The main reason I'm doing things in the order I have is so I could get the astral tea leaves up there now, and grab them now. Because I'm going to need those for a later music note, and I'd rather get them before I have to start all that massive back and forth. There's a couple ways you can reduce backtracking during this portion of the game, and I'm trying my best to do them, is the best way to put it. We got the Key of Strength. Forced into being by Kolos and Seuss's physical feats, it is one of the notes needed to create a melody that will break the curse. Cool. And with that, I believe our business here in the Searing Crags is done. I think we have every power seal already. No, we don't. We're missing one. Where am I missing one? Well, either I'm about to get it or I'm not, so... With that, I believe I'm going to be done with the Searing Crags for now. Yeah, actually, I don't think I can grab the last one for a bit yet. So, now it's time for us to head on to the next note. Well, first... As fate would beautifully have it, only by creating a melody from the crystallized forces of this world can the curse be broken. To complete the melody, we still need 4 music notes. Cool. I am going to be putting every note in as I get it from now on, by the way. To reach our next destination, I need to head back to the Howling Grotto. It's also at this point, I believe, that I'm going for the last power seal. So I'm going back to this room earlier where I almost went through the 8-bit stuff. And now I'm going to backtrack towards the end of the level to this area. And at the top of this room now, there's going to be a flip over to I guess, the future, technically, not just 16-bit. And this will allow us to grab this area's last power seal. Again, if you head west from here, in 16-bit, you will find a giant time shard waiting for you. And obviously, I died to this. That is surprisingly strict on the timing, but it's relatively easy to get back to because the checkpoint is literally in the previous room. And now that I have that power seal, I need to now head back to 8-bit and backtrack to where we just were all the way here on the left towards the second entrance to the Quilshroom Marsh. That took me about 5 minutes, I want to say, just based on the variances of platforming. But now that we want to head back to 16-bit, it's time for us to head to another exit from Howling Grotto. But this one's a bit new. It doesn't exactly lead to somewhere we've been before. Also note, as I said last part, as you saw there on the top left of the map, you can press the A button to get a prophecy from the prophet. I don't think it's always the same one he'd give you if you were talking to him in person, but it's definitely from the same set of texts, because he can read the same one to you once you get low enough a number. I think at this point, he's more telling me to go towards the end of the catacombs, but I'm doing things in my own order. Screw you. You might recall, back in the past, on our first trip through Howling Grotto, there was a bit of geometry that resembled the path swaps between future and past early on in the Howling Grotto, so let's head on over there. Also, I have to wonder, would the messenger have to refer to the present now as the future or the past, or because it's a time traveler, is it everything? Just yes. I also have to wonder if they ever did a The Messenger 2 proper, instead of like either making more DLC like they might be still doing, or more games in this universe like they're looking to do with that new game they're making at Sabotage Studios. Would they go for another riff on this kind of concept with maybe 16-bit and 32-bit? Or would they go full silly and do like 16-bit into 64-bit? And just make it like 2.5D N64 PlayStation 1 graphics. That could be fun to see, I think. Mind you, I'm also just a fan of the now very growing in popularity low poly aesthetic that certain games are doing. Like there was a almost kind of Silent Hill-like horror game, like 2019 or late 2018 or so, that did that apparently pretty well. With that, welcome to a giant underwater maze. You might notice the music's faded out, except for that little bit there. What is happening here is that if you didn't get that seashell I got back in part 4 when on the first trip to Quilshroom Marsh, if you don't have that, go back and watch that part, please. You would be lost in this maze like it's the Lost Woods from Legend of Zelda. Only with that conch shell does the music hint to you which direction you need to go. I'm not sure if you can technically just bypass this by skipping the shell. I know there's one thing like this you can skip later in the game without getting the item if you just know the level design. But I'm not sure if you can do that for this. Frankly, I've never tried. And with that, welcome to an entirely new area. Yeah, the magic sea cell. Make sure you got that back in part 4. Welcome to the Sunken Shrine. I love this musical track. And we also got ourselves a new warp to the Temple of Time. Tower of Time here. Why do I keep doing that? I know I'm a Zelda fan, but god dang it, Kyle. Strange energy emanates from behind the sealed gate. 2 sockets seem to be missing their crest. Well, that gives you a good hint on how this place is going to be structured, huh? Our end goal is to enter that door, but to do so, we need to get 2 crests to fill the door. To do that, we need to go along the side pathways. Also, I love sunken levels like this. I generally like underwater levels more than most people tend to, but it's mostly just because I love the aesthetic of being underwater, despite me being scared shitless of the deep ocean. There could be dinosaurs down there, man. We don't know. Well, I can't go that way. So the only way we can go, and I always forget you can do this for about a minute, is up to the top left. Let's see what the shopkeeper has to say about this new place. We haven't had them talk about a new area in a while. So what about the current area? This place looks ancient. Oh, you noticed? We're not clear on what the Sunken Shrine really is, other than the ruins of a religion long forgotten. The prophet thinks it was built to worship legendary heroes who ascended into guardian gods. Whoa. Crazy, right? I mean, who becomes a god? It's all under the sea now anyway, but apparently their power had to do with the stars. Anyway, if our calculations are correct, you should find a music note somewhere in here. Alright. And I might as well buy the focused power sense, I believe, to make sure all power seals are marked on the map. It's at this point that things start getting stupid expensive. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 11, we're going to go through the rest of the Sunken Shrine. See you guys then.